Hi, I'm James Naylor Green, professor of Brazilian history and culture at Brown University and the national co-coordinator of the U.S. Network for Democracy in Brazil. This program is sponsored by the Washington, Brazil office. This is Brazil Unfiltered. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Mauricio Angelo. He is an award-winning international freelance investigative journalist and the founder of the Mining Observatory, a Brazilian-based investigative journalist center established in 2015. He is a researcher at the Sustainable Development Center at the University of Brasília and publishes in many media outlets in Brazil and around the world. He was the winner of the Excellence in Journalism Award 2019 by the Inter-American Press Association, which is quite an honor. Mauricio is considered one of the top journalist experts in the extractive sector in Brazil. Mauricio, welcome to Brazil Unfiltered.
Hello, James. Thanks for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here.
So, Mauricio, before we started getting into the nitty-gritty, how did you get interested in studying the mining sector of Brazil, of the Brazilian economy?
Well, as a journalist, I've been investigating socio-environmental issues for quite some time. But on the human side, on my personal story, I'm also from the north of Espírito Santo state here in Brazil, which is part of the region affected by the Mariana Dam disaster in 2015, which is part explains why I founded the Mining Observatory in first place. So this is the episode that ignites my interest about mining, basically.
So why don't you tell us a little about the Mining Observatory that you've established, the website? What is that all about?
Yeah, like you said, and like I said previously, the first goal of the observatory is investigate the background of the Mariana Dam disaster in 2015. A brief context for the people who is not familiar with the subject. It's considered the biggest environmental disaster in Brazilian history. It's a dam who disrupted, a dam owned by Samarco, a mining company, which is a joint venture between Vale, Brazilian mining company Vale, and BHP, Anglo-American mining company. So impacts this dam disrupted in Minas Gerais state, which is the largest mining state in Brazil, the main region with all different projects of mining happen in Brazil, alongside with the north state of Pará, and affects from the Minas Gerais until Espírito Santo, which is the place I born. So, and of course, over the years, the Mining Observatory start to broad the subjects of our stories, basically to investigate all topics with relevant about the mining industry and the extractive sector in general. So, over the years, we have a very good report about illegal mining in the Amazon, garimpo, wildcat mining. The terms are different on each region across the world. The lobbying and the political influence of the mining sector, the role of the mining in the climate crisis, in the energy transition. And so alongside Mariana Dam disaster and the Brumadinho Dam disaster as well, that happened in 2019. It's considered the worst labor accident in Brazilian history because it killed more 270 people. So now the Mining Observatory has the goal to investigate everything that is important to the mining sector and consider these topics, especially these topics I talked about.
You have just helped organize a guide, which I understand will be published at the end of March, which looks at the mining sector under the Bolsonaro government. Could you tell us a little bit more about the guide and where people can find it?
Yeah, sure. The report's called How Bolsonaro Government Mineral Policy Set Up a Climate and Anti-Indigenous Bomb, and they can find at the Mining Observatory website. It basically tells the story about these 4 years of Bolsonaro government, how the entire government act in favor of illegal mining, for example, in indigenous land or and also for the large mining companies how they do this. Basically dismantle all the surveillance bodies, all the fiscalization we have in Brazil, with a strong ties with the mineral lobby, not only the international mining company lobby, but also the lobby for illegal mining in the Amazon, which is never so close to any government in the previous years. So the garimpo lobby, as we call it here in Brazil, walks step by step, side by side with Bolsonaro government, with Bolsonaro, with the former Vice President Milton Mourão, with the former Minister of Environment Ricardo Salles, and so on. So the entire government, including the Minister of Mines and Energy and the National Mining Agency, act to deregulate, to make things easier, basically, for the entire mining sector, and especially for the illegal mining in the Amazon. We have a lot of facts in the past years, alongside reunions, meetings, in closed doors, in some cases, that prove this point. And of course, we have all the acts by the Bolsonaro government, all the bills they try to send to the Congress, and so on. So the report wrapped up all these acts that the entire administration, the past administration here in Brazil, makes the life of the mining companies easier.
So you're talking about the mining sector, and you've mentioned here the large mining companies and then the illegal gold diggers that are operating in the Amazon. And so what is the extent of the large mining companies' expansion of their operations under Bolsonaro? Was it significant, or was it just part of a normal way in which they were looking for new sources of the products that they're trying to extract and export?
Well, we are living a new boom of commodities boom, a new commodities boom right now, not only in Brazil, of course, but in the world. And the mineral sector, of course, is a huge part of this commodities boom. In the past years, for example, the mining industry in Brazil make record profit in 2020, 2021, 2022, in the middle of the pandemic. So even with the pandemic, the mining industry in general reached records of profits here in Brazil and along the world, of course. But Bolsonaro make the life of the companies easier and have a very strong relationship with this lobby. Brazil, for example, is among the top 5 mineral producers in the world of iron ore, nickel, gold, and so on. So we have almost every big mining company in the world have a strong presence here in Brazil.
So is the interest of Bolsonaro ideologically alone? Does he have any personal interests or investment or connections to this sector of the economy that makes him want to be so reckless in allowing there to be uncontrolled, unregulated mining?
Well, I see it's part of the ideology of the entire government, the new liberal, ultra-liberal approach to the economy, for example, that is a little bit different from the past government. Even we have, of course, some similarities because the mining industry in general are always close to the government. But when you look at the illegal mining in the Amazon, I mean, it's just something that is important to the people to know. Mining in indigenous land here in Brazil, for example, is not allowed. It's different from the United States, from Canada, for example, which is allowed. You can go to indigenous land and establish a big mining complex and so on. This is not the case here in Brazil. But yet, we have basically illegal wildcat mining, which is made by thousands of people. Basically, in the past, it's like artisanal mining, but it's changed over the past years, with the past decade especially. So illegal mining in the Amazon, it's right now an industry with huge machines, excavators, tractors, and so on. And this accelerates during the Bolsonaro government. Bolsonaro itself has some personal ties with this illegal mining, because he says, for example, that his father be at Serra Pelada complex in the 80s here in Brazil, which is the biggest mining complex at the time, the Garimpo complex at the time. And Bolsonaro itself, like he said, he likes to go from some places from time to time to see if they can find some gold. So they have some personal ties in the history of the family with this illegal mining, and of course, and also all the economic approach of the Bolsonaro government has this ideology to facilitate things for the mining industry in general.
Mm-hmm. So mining has had a devastating impact on indigenous people, as your report, your guide indicated in its title, especially in the Amazon states of Roraima and Pará. So there was denunciation of the effects of the illegal mining on the indigenous people, the Yanomami people, right after Lula's inauguration. What has the current government done to counter the damages that were inflicted on the country by Bolsonaro?
Yeah, sure. When Lula took office, one of the first acts is to develop the revocation of some Bolsonaro decree in the past, which makes easier for the illegal mining in the Amazon, for example. And then the Yanomami situation, which reached the red lines all over the country. The government makes some task force to address the problem in the indigenous. The Yanomami indigenous land is the biggest indigenous land in Brazil. It's quite the size of the Switzerland. It's in the border of Roraima, the state of Roraima, and Venezuela here in Brazil. So Lula administration took some acts to address the situation. He declared a public health emergency in the Yanomami, and then they basically made all the ministers involved with this case. I mean, the health ministry, the Minister of Indigenous People, Indigenous Human Rights Ministry, and so on, to make things better in the Yanomami territory. He also exonerates a lot of civil servants in the agencies which related to the Bolsonaro government, some military servants, for example, to start to change things, because, like I said before, all the government bodies in the past years are acting in favor of illegal mining. So not only in Yanomami territory, but in the state of Pará, for example, is the two biggest illegal mining hotspots here in the country.
So when the government moved into the Yanomami territories to try to assist the indigenous people who were having public health crises and malnutrition, etc., as I understand it, part of that has to do with the way in which the illegal mining pollutes the waterways, which means that the indigenous people, who some of them rely on eating fish and being in the water for many reasons, were getting contaminated, poisoned by the mercury used in extracting the gold. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that, how that works, or what that story is?
Yeah, sure. You are right. I mean, the illegal mining scenario in Yanomami territory, as well in the other indigenous territories in the Amazon, it's complex, because they poisoned the water. They basically destroy this land, destroy the rivers. For example, in Munduruku territory, for example, we have more than 600 kilometers of rivers destroyed by illegal mining in the past years. So we are talking about some huge effects on the life of these people, because they rely of the water by the rivers. They rely of the forest for their food, And of course, alongside with illegal mining, they come violence, they come a lot of things that are not normal. Other diseases are facilitated because the access of the mine. So indigenous group who live in their territory for centuries, they start not get access to water, to good water. They not have access to food. They suffer from several cases of violence, gun violence, for example, in Yanomami territory, and so on. So they basically destroy the entire way of life of these people. They cannot live like they used to anymore. So it's you have to change a lot of things to make things better, and it's not overnight. Of course, it took some time to actually make things better, not only in Yanomami but in the entire Amazon.
So the Minister of Justice, Flavio Gino, immediately demanded an order that there be the removal of all of the garimpeiros, the illegal miners in the Yanomami territory. And there was a flood of people out, and they also started to destroy the illegal airways, the small planes that come in and out of the area with the miners, bringing in equipment and people and taking out gold. Have they been effective in getting out the garimpeiros, the illegal miners, or are they still operating in the region? And for those who leave, what other kind of opportunities do they have if they're not, if they're going to be blocked from participating in illegal mining? What will be the alternatives for these people?
Yeah, well, this is a process that are going on right now. So of course, the government succeeded in expel a lot of people from the Yanomami territory. We're talking about more than 20,000 people dedicated to illegal mining inside the Yanomami land. So it's a lot of people. There's a process going on. The measures that the government take to eradicate the problem are taking effect, but they're still trying to take months to really make things better, because it's not overnight. Like I said, these people need time to evacuate the land, but most important, they try to find who is funding the illegal mining in the indigenous land, who is profiting for all these crimes in the Yanomami territory. And you are right again. I mean, if you expel these people for land and you're not giving any economic opportunity to them, they are just going to find another place to dig, another place to keep going with the illegal exploration of gold and other mining metals. So this is the case in the Amazon. These people from Yanomami can go easily to the Munduruku, which is, for example, in Pará. This is well known by all the authorities here. So of course, when we're talking about the economic opportunities, we're talking about a very complex and deep problem that it took years and effort, collective effort by the different governments to change that. On the opposite, if you not change the whole scenario, you just keep going this flux here and there of illegal gold mining. But depends on the situation in the future. The international gold market, for example, who is always side by side with this illegal exploration, it can go back. So
and who is benefiting? Who are the people? Who is benefiting? Who are the backers, the financial backers? Do we know that? Do we have a sense of who these people are who are financing this heavily invested operations? It seems, with heavy equipment, for example. Who's paying for it?
Yeah, we're just starting to know some of the businessmen behind this operation. We have several investigations going on in the past years by federal police, by the public prosecutor's office, by the IBAMA, federal body dedicated to investigate environmental crimes. But we're far from all the entire chain of investors, operators, and who is maintaining all the logistics necessary to keep illegal explorations within indigenous land, for example. We have some cases, we have some advanced investigations where we are far to know the entire scenario.
And how are local politicians involved in this process, or governors or mayors, or even the city, small town mayors and council people? How are they connected to the illegal mining?
Basically, these cities live for the garimpo, live by the garimpo. So of course, basically all the mayors and local politicians receive money from this illegal industry. We're talking about billions of Brazilian reais that can be extracted from the lands. So all this political system are part of the scenario, from the local ones, from the very small town to the federal government in the case of Bolsonaro administration, including the government, the governors of the Amazon, and we have some cases, for example, of course, including some officers, federal police officers, for example, who are receiving money for this illegal exploration. So this is not by chance that the situation is not change overall. We have a very complex and deep system, deep web of actors profiting from this illegal exploration in the Amazon. So
I think there was even an accusation of the involvement of the governor of Roraima in these activities. I don't know if that's been pursued anymore. I know there was in the newspaper several weeks ago, it was mentioned that he might have been colluding with the illegal miners, the garimpeiros.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the investigation showed that some of their family, some of the family are involved with this illegal exploration, but it's something that is going on. It's still going on, and the investigation needs time to prove that. But when you look at the facts, the past facts, we have a lot of different actors, different politicians involved in this investigation, and also it's proved that they received money from the mining industry in the past, because the people who run for office, for example, we can look at the registers of who is paying for the political campaign here in Brazil. Right. So a lot of businessmen from mining industry, and also people from the illegal exploration in the Amazon are paying for these politicians to run.
So the Lula administration in the past, when he was president, had to find a balance between expanding the economy and paying off the foreign debt through the boom in commodities, as you mentioned, not only mining, but also agriculture, meat products, soy, very, very important, especially being consumed by China. Lula came to power this time really talking about the need to guarantee democracy and to really address the issues of peoples that had not been as a focus of his first and second presidential mandates, his terms in office, especially the indigenous people, focusing a lot more on questions of human rights. He's mentioned the issues of long-term reparations needed for Afro-Brazilians because of the legacy of slavery. And I'm curious to know how you analyze this balance between Lula, the person who wants to strengthen the economy and rely on a 500-year-old model of export of agricultural goods and mineral goods in order to strengthen the economy, and Lula, the person who is interested in human rights, sustainable development, and the environment. So how do these two play out when mining, and especially illegal mining, is so profitable? What can he do effectively around this question? Isn't he kind of trapped?
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubt that the Lula administration is facing a very complex problem, and they have to remember that the Lula took office with the support of a very broad political agenda, with different political parties and so on. So the current federal government, it's made by a lot of actors. Some of them are from the left, some of them are from the right, some of them from the political center. So yeah, Brazil has a long track to rely on the exportation of the commodities, basically iron ore, soy, and oil that our economy depends on. At the same time, we have to guarantee, of course, that these companies are not complicity with human rights violation. So it's the Lula administration is living by a dispute inside the government. You have some actors are in favor of the human rights, indigenous rights, local communities, and the other one see the mining industry, for example, as a partner for the Brazilian economy. So it's hard to balance the two things, where we're not just talking about illegal mining, that, okay, Lula administration took off going hard against illegal mining. And the mining industry itself, they say they're against this illegal mining because it's bad for the image, it's bad for marketing, it's bad for the investors in general. They do not want to be related with this illegal mining in the Amazon. But at the same time, we talk about some of the biggest companies in the world who are responsible for human rights violation, for environmental crimes on a daily basis. So the federal government has to balance it, who they're going to listen, how they are going to act, because there are two separate things, different things. And of course, this is part of the Brazilian democracy right now, and the civil society and the organized society has to press for the better.
So just to get a measure of the importance of mining, what percentage of the economy is it? Is it a small percentage or a large percentage of the economy in terms of exports or in terms of its vital importance? How vital is mining to Brazil?
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because mining industry is actually is small there than they usually try to sell the idea. For example, they are right now the mining industry are responsible for 3% of the Brazilian GDP. So only 3%. There are some efforts of the past government to expand this economic value of the mining industry to 10%, for example. But of course, even in the overall situation, they are not big. We're talking about the iron ore, for example. Brazil is the second largest export of iron ore in the world, besides Australia. Vale is among the 3 or 5 biggest mining companies in the world. And like I said before, Brazil has a very important role in other metals, commodities as well, like nickel, copper, coal, and so on. So it's not huge in terms of the overall economy, but yeah, they have their importance about the participation in the GDP and other minerals like aluminum, chrome, manganese, niobium, and so on.
So in 2019, the world was shocked by the slash and burning, the destruction of the Amazon through allowing there to be uncontrolled destruction of the land and burning to eliminate forests in order to do cattle grazing and agricultural production. And this was seen at the time as an example of the way Bolsonaro was turning us back on the environment and caring really little about it and prioritizing other goals, other things. What has been the overall impact of the Bolsonaro government's policies on the environment as a whole, not just the question of mining? I don't know if you could answer that or talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the facts and figures show to us that the deforestation, for example, raised more than 60% during the Bolsonaro years.
It increased 60%.
Yes, during the Bolsonaro years. And we are talking about some things that are related to each other. I mean, the mining are related to deforestation, are related to illegal grabbing of land, for example, and so on. And all these things, all the violence and crimes in the Amazon raised during the Bolsonaro administration. So some criminal goes to a certain place and take the land, some public land, for example, and they raise cattle and they deforested the area all illegally. And they also can extract gold or other mineral, for example. So this is all related, and all the destroy of the Amazon forest, as well as the other parts of the Brazil, like Cerrado, the richest savanna in the world. It's important to remember because Cerrado receives way less attention than the Amazon. And Cerrado is very important, not only for Brazil, but the climate balance for the entire world. Also see the deforestation figures increase during the Bolsonaro government. So it's really hard now for Lula administration to change things rapidly, quickly, because there are a very, very complex web of problems happening right now.
So recently, Elon Musk went to Brazil, and it seems like he has a mining agenda behind his visit. What is Elon Musk interested in Brazil? What's his plan for the country?
Yeah, in fact, Elon Musk visited Brazil in the past year and received some Medal of Honor by the Bolsonaro administration. For example, they are talk with some top executives here in Brazil as well, and they are received like a hero, a myth of freedom, like the former Minister of Communications, Fábio Faria, tell back in the day. But and they announced some plans to monitor the Amazon. Elon Musk in thesis are going to monitor the Amazon using satellite images and going to provide internet for rural schools. But in fact, the company Tesla, which Elon Musk owns, make a secret deal with Vale in the past years for Vale to supply nickel for Elon Musk. And Vale extracts nickel for two places, in Canada and in the Amazon, very close to indigenous land, the Xikrin indigenous land, by the way. So this project of nickel by Vale are already affecting the indigenous people of Xikrin in Pará state. And over the months after the visit of Elon Musk, this promise to provide internet for schools, it is not fulfilled. They say they're going to reach thousands of schools across the country, but only one school receiving internet by Starlink. And now we have some very recent stories by Associated Press last week, for example, showing that actually some people who in the Yanomami indigenous land, illegal miners in the Yanomami indigenous land, use the Starlink internet by Elon Musk. So the people who are receiving, who took this opportunity to give some internet from the satellite, it's not the Brazilian students, it's the illegal miners in the Amazon. And Elon Musk and Tesla, and of course all the other biggest company in this electric car behind this industry are interested in the Brazilian nickel, Brazilian lithium, and so on. Not only Brazilian, but all the Argentina, Peru, Bolivia, the countries nearby. So it is important to have in mind all the context of this kind of visit, this kind of announcement, and the ties between Musk and the mining companies, for example.
So, Mauricio, you clearly are a journalist, a very serious professional journalist, but in some way also an activist by putting your information up there for other people to learn about this very serious issue, not only the attack on human rights of indigenous peoples, but also the destruction of the environment. What would you say that people who are listening to this podcast or want to get involved or are concerned about these issues, what can they do concretely to improve the situation in Brazil?
It's always hard to answer that, James, because of course we have some limited reach as citizens, as researchers, or civil society participation in these issues. But of course, it's important in the first place. And this is my goal as a journalist to show how things are beyond the biggest media outlets, beyond only the economic agenda, beyond all these supposed benefits, economic benefits that the mining companies use as argument, not only in Brazil, but everywhere in the world. So I think first it's important to people to dig out a little bit, to try to understand a little bit the context, because we're talking about mining. Mining is considered fundamental to the climate and the energy transition, for example. Mining is considered fundamental to change all the landscape of the industry in the world. Mining provides minerals and metals for every industry in the world. And people say, well, we cannot address climate change and climate crisis without mining, without expand the reach of this mining complex, not in Brazil, in Africa, in the global south, like they call it today. But of course, when you open a new project, when you expand new project, we're talking about the rights of the people who have been violated in most cases, not only indigenous rights, but human rights in general. And then environmental problems, a lot of environmental problems we already happen, and probably is gonna get worse in the future. So this we cannot see this, well, okay, mining is so good for the environment, it's good for the climate, we cannot reach all the goals and treaties, the politics over the world for the Paris Agreement, for example, are set up without mining. We have to look at what is behind. We have to find some other solutions. We have to know exactly who is funding these people, who are the investors behind this mining company, because all these people are saying sign some agreement, some human rights agreement. They are saying they are respect the environment. They are in favor to reach neutral carbon emissions and so on. But this is something wrong if you say that, if you sign some agreement, if you sell this image, and at the same time you are funding some big mining company who are complicit with the Amazon destruction, for example. I mean, there is no future without the Amazon, not only from Brazil, but for the entire world. So it is important for people to know that and try to put pressure, of course, using all the tools and the agenda the civil society can put over the politicians and the companies as well. They have to feel this pressure. They have to know that the people are not living in the dark. You know, the people are starting to get all the widespread scenario, how things work in the market today, beyond only the economic headlines.
Is there any other thing you'd like to add to our conversation today, Mauricio, before we close?
I mean, I just keep the invitation to people to read the Mining Observatory website. I thank you for the invitation, of course. And I think it's important to know, because all this gold, this iron ore extract here in Brazil, the niobium, the nickel, are part of the international market. We are funding industry in China, in Europe, in North America. You, me, and everybody probably have some gold or some iron ore in your cell phones, in your cars, in all the equipment we use from day to day. In the case of gold, for example, you cannot be sure that this gold is extracted for a legal place, because we have basically no control of the entire chain of gold here in Brazil. Basically, half of the gold extracted in the Amazon are signs of illegality. So for things to change, like I say, it's a long way. We need efforts of different levels of the government, from the federal government to the local ones, and the lobbying, both from the mining industry of this businessmen behind illegal gold and illegal extraction overall is huge. So it's important to people know this is not only a thing that happens in Brazil, in the Amazon, and did not reach their everyday life. The minerals and metals extracted here in Brazil are part of your life all over the world. And it is to know if they have some human rights violation behind, some environmental crimes behind, to put pressure, again, I repeat, to the politicians. And this includes, of course, the Brazilian politicians, the United States politicians, Europe politicians, so on, to change the scenario. Otherwise, we just keep telling about the same issues forever.
Well, Mauricio, I'm so glad you could join us today on Brazil Unfiltered. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, James.
So I hope you enjoyed the interview. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like the video. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps other people find the program. Have a great week. Until next time, até a próxima.